Welcome to the A Cast on Titan Chapter 72 edition podcast. This month we're going to talk about everything that happened in Chapter 72 moving forward, and we're going to get prepped for the good parts of the arc coming up here. So let's go ahead and get started by doing our introductions.
You said that very forcefully, Stiller.
Almost as if I've been trying to do this intro a couple of times already.
Almost.
I don't know what you're talking about, Sailor.
Through the power of editing, this is
first try.
First try.
Oh yeah, they'll never know.
Anyway, I'm Scott, also ScottyV23 from the subreddit, and my initial thoughts about this chapter was that I actually liked it. It was a pretty good chapter for what it was. I understand it was like an introduction / recap kind of chapter. It was kind of necessary to segue into they're actually going and trying to get this wall recovered, but I think it was good for just setting up for some future events and a lot of foreshadowing.
So I guess we can skip you for impressions now, huh?
Yeah, I wanted to get that out of the way.
Okay.
I thought I'd summarize,
Okay, that works.
He's
I
just a
guess that
go-getter.
works for me too. Go ahead.
I'm Zach, Darth Mewtwo on the subreddit, and most other places on the internet.
It's a fair point to make.
Yeah, it really is. I thought this chapter was pretty good. It was a nice... I really got a huge sense of deja vu with this chapter, probably because we basically did have the exact same thing before, but I'll take it. Yeah. Some nice character development, well, if you're me, really nice death flags, because I love death. And that's about it. Shut up.
That was worth the arguing. It was worth the hassle.
Not really in a talking mood.
Damn, what a shame considering you're on a podcast.
Yeah, right.
This is oh god, this might be a rough night. Okay, so I am Stiller 3. Zach, did you say you're one of the moderators or not?
I did not this
You
month.
did not? Well, I'm one of the other moderators aside him.
Very important you mentioned that.
Well, yeah, it helps establish who we are, I think. Since
He's the Stittler moderator.
Since this is the official Shingeki no Kyojin Reddit podcast, this chapter, I don't know, it was okay. I didn't hate this chapter, as usual, but we were talking about it earlier, and this is the kind of chapter you have to have every once in a while, the chapter you have to establish at the beginning of an arc, just to set up for some future development in the plot that it has to happen at some point, so this is the point for that. And there were some interesting details, like Zach said, some of the... should I be calling you Zach, or should I be calling you Darth Mewtwo?
We've been calling me Zach for 20 episodes now.
So
Where have you been?
So Zach's fine. Anyway,
I mean,
as he said, there was some interesting development in some of the characters. Particularly for me, Aaron and Armin had a really interesting parallel that we'll get into later. But otherwise, the chapter was all right. I mean, I could be mad at it for being so slow and boring as most people would want to do, but this was a necessary thing, so it's good to get this out of the way.
And last but not least, I'm Ryan. I am WX Bombadil on the subreddit. I am not currently here, so Zach is doing some voices for me. Stiller's going to be pasting in some of my impressions right around now.
Well, it's all good. It not too much went on this chapter anyway, so I mean, it's not like there's a huge amount to talk about, so it's not the
Damn
end
it,
of the world.
Scotty.
That's true. Yeah, I hate you.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay, what happened? Okay, so this is the one where they dicked around for a while. They were all talking. Okay, so yeah, this is where they actually left to start their mission, right?
Right.
Yep.
Okay. I remember about half the chapter was them sitting around at that table talking about. I don't know. I kind of skimmed through most of it. Yeah.
Meat and veteranism.
You know what? I might just...
Yeah, fucking John here talking down to the rest of them as if he's not like fucking 18 or whatever. How old is he?
Like 16.
He's not old enough to be talking. Yeah, he's not old enough to be talking down to the other ones. Even if he had.
They've been in the Survey Corps for like 6 months.
He's just about Zach's age.
It's like, oh, you guys have combat. So you know what? Fuck off, dude. You're too young to be saying that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm pretty stoked that they're actually starting this mission. It seems like we've been waiting.
Yeah.
I don't know, years.
Only a few.
Our time, not their time, but still.
Yeah. Then like what? How long is that? So I mean, obviously we got that time skip about 3 months, but before that it was like what, like a month between.
I think there was the second 2-month time skip, or the first 2-month time skip after the Clash of the Titans arc, right?
So it's been like half a year, maybe.
Yeah. That really irked me because this whole chapter. There was a whole page where they were like, "Oh, it's been 3 months since we signed up, right? Yeah, 3 months. Yep, 3 months.
Yeah,
Oh my
It's been
goodness.
3 months."
what a crock of shit. That's so nonsense. Oh my god.
Well, it throws it all out of whack too, because since we wait a month for everyone to come out, it just fucks up the entire perception of time.
Trying to
in
wrap your
regards to the
brain
story.
around that is impossible.
Yeah.
So you liked it then? You thought it was okay? Just
Yeah, no, it
general
was. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't anything, spectacular or special. I'm happy it was moving the story along. But compared to the last couple chapters, I mean, it was hard to beat those since they were pretty blockbuster ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even 71.
Yeah, I mean, even so, it still had a lot of information in it, more than I feel like we got out of this one. Mostly just because of the Grisha thing and all that, which is a huge reveal when you look back on it. But looking ahead, this is one that gets the ball rolling. Now that we finally have the official start to this campaign, I feel like it only accelerates from here. I'm really curious what's going to happen in the next couple chapters once the expedition actually technically begins.
Yeah. What else do you say to this? This is just kind of like a...
I mean, that's pretty much it.
That was basically the entire chapter.
Well, there you go.
This was...
That we already knew, pretty much. Just confirmation.
Well, there's character development and death flags.
Do you remember that one time that thing happened? Oh yeah? Yeah, okay. See you next month.
Like,
in fairness, I'm selling it a little bit short on the grounds that a big chunk of the chapter was them talking. That whole scene where they're talking with each other around the food and the table and stuff, because I feel like a lot of the story I've been saying, oh man, you know what? It was fun when they were back in training and you kind of saw the interaction between all the different cadets and things like that. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was something we were missing once they got out in the real world and all the shit went down. But here I am, X amount of chapters later, and we get back to the same thing where it almost seems like he's giving us a refresher of that, kind of almost showing them the human element to the characters again, and I'm bitching about it because it's boring. Yeah, I should be excited about the fact that they're having that interaction, which is fun to see play out on the page, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm more concerned about the operation to retake the wall, which is taking priority in everybody's minds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Sounds like a good plan. One final thought before I duck out here, because I'm just flicking through the pages here. You know what I realized reading this chapter? I realized how tired I am of the whole Sasha goes crazy for meat meme. So it's like I'm reading through this and just like, it's the point where I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, she loses her mind around meat. It's like, okay.
She's like pigeonholed into that. Those people who are typecast as like, Adam Sandler's typecast as the funny guy who's like horrible in comedy roles, and now it's like, Sasha's just a girl who eats a lot.
Well, it's like a flanderization of her character. It starts as kind of like one quirky thing about her, but then it evolves to the point where it just dominates her whole character.
At this point, she might as well have died.
Yeah, that's the thing. It really is obvious. I'm not going to be sad when he does eventually offer. So
instead of physically killing her, he's just driving her to a slow character death.
Well, what they did was at one point there was a version of Sasha that existed where that early manga chapter where she said, "Guys, the potato thing was a long time ago." So they replaced that version of Sasha with this one. And this one is just, hey, I'm doing the thing that the fans want to hear me do. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, living on borrowed time.
No, don't worry about giving me development or anything. It's fine. I'm just gonna say the meat potato jokes and.
Yeah. Well, she's got her bow and arrow shtick and she's got her meat shtick, and that's kind of it.
And I'll be here to look pretty. That's it.
She gives a whole new meaning to the term kitchen character because she's literally a kitchen character with all the food she eats.
She's like queen kitchen character.
Yeah,
she's
honestly.
She's like the person the kitchen characters like make the meal for, I guess.
Yep. And she's almost ready to prepare the meals as well, the way her character is going.
Mm.
All right, well, I'm going to take off here. I got to still get ready and do a bunch of stuff before I head out, but good luck, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
Good luck's a good way to phrase it, I think.
Yeah.
Good luck, yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, man. Take it easy.
See ya.
Thanks for chiming in there, Ryan. It's good to have you on.
Yep, amazing.
And we'll see you next month. Thanks for being here.
The power of editing.
That was good, yeah. He'll be back next month. It's just scheduling was not very nice this month.
Because someone was late.
Well, not because it's not just that. It's like we have this problem every month.
I'll take your votes.
It's fine. We're okay. So now we can go ahead and start moving into the bulk of the chapter. But before we do, I want to put out the disclaimer, because I have not done that yet, that this is a manga spoilers podcast, which means if you have not read chapter 72,
you
back
were probably
later.
just spoiled by our impressions.
Not necessarily. I don't think. Either way, if you haven't read it, go away, read it, and come back.
We don't want you here.
And then we'll want you here, I guess. That's the thing we're going with.
Yeah.
Just like your parents, we don't love you.
That's a sad note to continue on. Okay, so chapter 72. What happened?
Well, we got a lot of comparisons between like chapter 3, I think it was, when they were in the mess hall or whatever talking. Basically it was a panel by panel shot of where we currently are and how it would play out if they were this age back then. So that was cool to see, like, the comparison between how they've developed as characters. But it's, what was interesting to me though was how, especially when they were at the tables discussing like what they thought about where they wanted to go and their goals and ambitions, especially with the main three, Armin, Mikasa, and Eren, their goals really didn't change. Like, Armin still discussed that he wants to see all of the cool like landmarks and just like the sea and ocean and all these mountains and such, and then Eren still wants to defeat all the Titans and avenge his family and whatnot. And Mikasa's still Mikasa. She's just following Eren around. She really has no goal.
Mikasa didn't really contribute anything to that discussion. But
then again, that shows she's still the same as she was back then, because she wasn't contributing back then either.
That's not a good point.
Well, she was contributing, just not to the discussions.
That's what I meant.
Her being the same as she was then is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing, but it's an adequate point, though. I don't know, but whatever. It's fine. But you said it wasn't a good point, as if like my point was horrible.
Well, no, not as if you saying it was a bad thing, but that point being something that's like showing how far she's grown is not a good point.
Yeah, it's not a good point.
That would imply that she's grown.
Well, well, what we're getting at here is that the parallel that he's talking about to the beginning of the manga is we're seeing the similar scenarios, the similar situations, and we're seeing the differences in the characters as far as their phrasing goes. Because this was such a lack of action chapter, everything that we would have had to discern about how far they've grown through these parallels are by their dialogue and through their interactions. And I think something we all noticed was that there were a few characters who just haven't moved at all. Like how
Sasha.
How Ryan was talking about the Sasha thing, how she's just completely nothing. She's just there now. And God, I almost feel bad for her character, because she was a character at one point. She actually said things. She actually did things. Now she's just background noise.
Girl.
It's horrible. I feel so bad for that character now. It's awful.
I think one of the good things, or one of the interesting points that you see I was trying to make here, is that even though for us it's been years, for them, especially since they joined, it hasn't even been nearly half a year. So their goals, their ambitions, their attitudes, although a lot has happened in the events of, like, they've lost companions and they've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, they're still essentially the same people they were in the very beginning when they joined the Survey Corps. So
that was something else we had talked about when Ryan was here, was the time skip, and how much nonsense that is, that we're going to try and bottle all this within 3 months.
Even though it's been explicitly stated to be more than that.
That's outrageous.
Isayama's editor fell asleep.
And going back to that point you just mentioned about how, even though it's been such a short amount of time, they haven't changed that much. Based on the amount of stuff that's been going on, we've seen how far they've grown without actually taking the time in this chapter to really back off and just look at them as people now. But we know that they're more developed than they've been shown in this chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of I don't know how to phrase it. It's like this parallel is kind of
inaccurate one.
Yeah, it's kind of broken in some ways.
Well, it's really weird, especially because if you think back a couple chapters, when they showed the 104th Squad, and then they showed the new recruits, and I feel like that chapter, I forget exactly which one it was, maybe 69, or it might have been even 70, but that chapter was specifically there, in my opinion, to show how the 104th Squad has developed as, like, they've been witnessed to all these events, horrible events that have gone about around them or whatever. So,
and now they're battle hardened.
And now, yeah, but then this chapter almost goes to show how they're the same. So it's kind of counterproductive to show both chapters, because one's saying they've grown, this one's saying they're almost the same.
Well, I disagree, because there was that whole stupid argument between Jean and Marlowe about how, we're veterans because we've been doing this for 6 months.
Right, but that was to show they've grown.
Yeah, it was. So it doesn't really wholly counteract it, I guess.
Well, this chapter shows how they're the same.
But that was this chapter. There was another argument about how they were veterans this chapter.
Yeah, but they can call themselves veterans, and it's true, but that doesn't mean their attitudes reflect that.
I suppose.
I think the way to look at it is that the chapter that Scotty's referencing was better in some ways and worse in others in terms of this chapter, because this chapter was really good for the main three, for Armin, Mikasa, and Eren. But the old chapter was good for everyone, not just the three, not just specifically the main three. Like I had mentioned, the dialogue specifically between Eren and Armin I thought was really on point, where instead of how Scotty mentioned earlier, how originally in the first couple of chapters Eren was all about killing the Titans and getting revenge and all that, in this chapter his quote is, "Whether I'm energetic or not, I plan on doing what needs to be done." That's a really good line from him, and I think that's on point for how he's going to be progressing as we move towards Wall Maria and as we move towards getting into that basement. It's a much different line than what he originally had.
Yeah, it's almost as if, like, he has the same goal, but he's going to go about it in a much different way. Because before, he was just hot-headed, like, just point me in the right direction, I'll bust some heads and, kill some Titans. And now he's like, I'm going to think a little bit more technical about it, more methodical about what I do and how I'm used. But I'm still going to go for the same goals and for the same reasons, almost, just in a different way.
Armin, specifically out of the main three, I think had the biggest, I don't know if it's the biggest shock, but the biggest difference in this chapter, where he's talking about, I think the one line specifically is, "It must be because of times like this that we were all made in different ways." They really made a point out of highlighting that with the small flashback panel of Armin getting beaten up by bullies, and it shows that other small panel of him, like, looking, I don't know, reflective or depressed or whatever emotion that is about it.
Pensive.
Well, that leads into a lot of speculation, considering Isayama's comment that Eren and Armin's relationship are going to become more strained as time goes on. So that'll be something we'll have to watch play out, but this is, I think Scotty had mentioned something about foreshadowing earlier. This is both a moment of foreshadowing, I think, and also how we've been talking about a good parallel of how they were compared to how they've been, because we haven't had a great deal of Armin development, I don't think, and seeing this sort of is going to prelude some more Armin development we're going to be seeing in the future.
Yeah, speaking of you go.
All right, I forget. How much did Armin have to do with the planning in the Rod Rice's attack?
I don't think it specifically said he had any part. I thought it was just Erwin commanding that.
Yeah, that's what I remembered. So then, really, the last bit of big Armin development we had was back when he went full Hitler and suggested doing a false flag attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're finally coming back to that, which at the time, I remember we were excited about it. We wanted to see how that was going to develop, and then it never did. So it's good to see that's coming back a little bit. I'm still excited for that. I still hope that happens. I still hope we see that.
You're hoping they commit a false flag attack?
No, I'm hoping we see Armin's character develop along that line we were talking about.
That makes more sense.
And honestly, this ties in perfectly with what we can talk about next, which is the foreshadowing that was mentioned that was in this chapter, and also Armin's development could be tied specifically to one event, which is Erwin's potential death, which was foreshadowed and would push Armin to step up to the plate once Erwin's not there to take command and to give out orders. And I hate that they're going in this direction, or that Isayama might go in this direction. Not that I don't want to see Erwin's death, because if he dies in a very noble and like just cause, I feel like that would be a fitting end to him. You know, I don't see Erwin as the type of person who's going to go out like as just for old age. Like, that's just not his type of character. I feel like he's destined to go out in battle in some epic fashion. But also, it's just the way that they're so heavily implying that he's going to die. Mm-hmm. Literally, Levi called him Titan Bait. Like, that is, you cannot get more foreshadowy than that. That's like the
between this and the last chapter, Erwin and Levi are both sitting in that camp.
You know, I'm calling it. Erwin's going to get monkey troubled.
That's what. No, but like that's the. I mean, I really only like foreshadowing when it's very vaguely implied. When it's just forced down your throat, like, you are Titan Bait, you are going to die, and it's like, all right, dude, calm down, I get it. Erwin's probably gonna die, I get it. It's like
in any normal chapter, we would call this much forceful foreshadowing a red herring.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. I hope that.
Frankly, I'm wondering if it might be a red herring.
Yeah, I hope, honestly, because I don't want to see Erwin die in a way that everyone anticipates it. Because I want it to be shocking. The best events in this manga, in this anime, have been the ones where it came out of nowhere. Like Reiner and Bertholdt, where the Colossal and Armored Titan. It's like, oh my god. And then, you know, there was no foreshadowing to that. There was a little bit, but not a whole bunch. It didn't force it down your throat. So if this happens and then Erwin dies and we all expected it, it'll take away from his death almost.
I feel like I'm kind of in a weird spot, because I fully expect it to be a red herring, and at the same time, a couple of chapters ago, like lately, I've been calling out Isayama on his shenanigans for killing characters, because I'm calling him on his shit here, because I don't think he does that anymore. I don't expect him to be killing anyone like Erwin anytime soon. I don't believe him. He's trying. He's trying so hard to make us think that something's going to happen to Erwin or Levi, but I don't believe him. You're a liar.
That's what I was thinking. Because he's been pushing so hard on Erwin and Levi, I almost feel like Hanji's about to die. Just because she's the third member of that trio, and we haven't really seen anything about her survivability lately.
I would be okay with that. I feel like I'm primed to be surprised by something like that. Because
which is kind of counterproductive. Primed to be surprised.
I am, because I'm so focused on.
But you get how that's like a.
Yeah, whatever. But
usually I'm the one calling people out on grammar bullshit. Can we give Scotty a round of applause here?
Yeah, it's not grammar.
I'm so focused on seeing Erwin and Levi both survive, just to prove that the red herring was like factual, that I'm totally set up to be totally surprised by someone like Hanji dying, or someone like, I don't know, Jean, you know, something out of left field that we're just not thinking about.
Sasha.
No, but
I think he's got a good setup for that going right now.
Yeah, and I would really, really like to see. I don't hate Hanji as a character. I actually like her as a character, but I feel like it would be really clever to have her die, because if you think about it, Isayama's been like subtly and not so subtly hinting that Hanji was going to take over once Erwin died. So it seems like
Erwin directly naming her as his successor in like
that's why I said
chapters.
Yeah, that's why I said subtly and not so subtly. That was the not so subtle part. But also, like, there have been hints just like of her taking charge in certain locations in like situations where it's like, okay, so she's priming herself, like she has the ability, and it's showcased in these chapters. But also, if, you know, he did a 180 and was like, all right, so the character that I've been saying, or, you know, making it seem like she was going to take over is now dead, it's like, whoa, like, I didn't see that coming, because it seems like she was going to take over, which means that Erwin was going to die. So I hope that it is a red herring, but I hope it's not for someone who's obvious to also take the bait. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's, oh, wow, Erwin didn't die, like, who didn't see that coming? But then it was someone else obvious who died. I hope that he uses this as an opportunity to kill up someone really unexpected. Because that would be, like, really cool. No, could you imagine? No, but
he tried that once.
I don't know. I feel like it would lose its impact if Hanji died. Because the idea is that, oh, Hanji's going to be taking over. Oh, she's dead now. Oh, but wait, Erwin didn't die, so we didn't actually lose anything. Oh, okay.
And then Erwin dies as well, and then
that would be impactful.
If they both died, sure, that'd be great.
And then we really get Erwin character development.
But just Hanji dying, I don't think is going to work.
Well, she's the real main scientific driving force. Without her, they wouldn't have come up with the spear or most of their knowledge.
Oh, most of their knowledge.
You know what? I was trying to come up with another example of something specific.
We would have had fire if Hanji wasn't here. How would we even know?
I think
Hanji is God, okay?
I think Hanji's okay I think she's worth keeping around for long term, but for short term, losing her is not going to be that detrimental, because they could still accomplish what they need to without her.
Sure, yeah.
So she's not that line of defense for her isn't real strong, I don't think. That said, she's not going anywhere unless Hanji goes with her, or Erwin goes with her.
Yeah.
So it should be somebody like Jean. It should be somebody like I don't know. God.
What if her love for meat in this chapter was a metaphor for how she is about to become meat for a Titan?
Wow. Impressive analysis.
I can dig deep, guys.
I feel kind of bad because I just had that moment just now where I'm like, man, who are the big characters in this show that are left?
No, I know.
I don't believe any of them are going to die.
When you said Jean, I mean, I know he's a main character, like, I understand why, but to me personally, he feels like a kitchen character.
Man, he's the best example of a character that's not a main character, that's not a kitchen character that I have. I don't have anything else.
Like, I don't know what he is, because he really doesn't drive any plot points forward. Like, I don't care. I almost care as much about his progression as I did Marco. It's like I really do not care.
God,
it's almost like we have a term for this type of character.
Yeah.
Side character.
No, but even as far as side characters go, I can care about Armin. Like, I care about his
character.
Yeah, but John is like almost pushed in there as far, because I wouldn't lump John into the same category as, let's say, Sasha or Connie. I say he's more important than them, but he's definitely not as important as Mikasa or Eren or Levi.
And we consider Connie and Sasha to be side characters. So where does Jean fit in that scope? Is the question.
Yeah, he's more than a side character, less than a main character. So he's just in limbo almost. But
he's a backup main.
Yeah, he's a backup main.
And on a similar threshold, if someone's about to fall into being a kitchen character, we can call them a doorway character.
A doorway character.
Because they're in the door to the kitchen.
They're in the mess hall, let's say, because they're not in the kitchen area, but they're in the same vicinity. They're in the building.
I think the big point we're getting at is that there all of a sudden seems to be, like, it feels like there is a dramatically less amount of important characters than it used to be. You know, it feels like there are so fewer characters we care about as much as there used to be, you know?
Yeah.
Because
maybe if you hadn't killed Petrov.
Because even now, as we're talking about it, no one's mentioned Historia, no one's mentioned Ymir. There are other big characters out there that we're just kind of pushing to the side because that's not who this chapter was focusing on, you know?
Well, we really did just lose like half of the big characters. Ymir is who fucking knows where. Rod and Kenny are dead.
Historia is settled down with other responsibilities now. We probably won't see her again for a while. So who do we have left? This is what we have. We have these small number of people.
Yeah, the main characters almost don't feel like main characters, only the very, very main characters. Like, almost Armin, I know he's a main character, but he almost feels
not
like
a main character.
Almost not, because there's a lot of points where he's his duties are delegated to like Hanji or to the back burner where we don't really see them in action, unless they're super like on point, like what we were alluding to before when he was like the Black Flag operation. Like unless it's in your face like that, you don't really see what he does.
Which plays really well into this chapter, because that moment I was talking about earlier with his dialogue in this chapter was, I'm not one of the first people that you would think about when we're talking about the Survey Corps actually getting stuff done. I'm just kind of there, but we all have different roles to play, right? So we're kind of slowly getting at that point.
Yeah, almost a way for him to validate to himself that he's important.
I'm important, right?
Yeah, like, we all got our roles, right, guys? Flashback to the time you got beaten up. It's like, yeah.
So hopefully them talking about that here means that we're going to see him step up into a bigger role. God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because, man, is he on that threshold of not being that important of a character. Like, Jesus. Come on, man.
We need, like, a good couple of chapters that move the plot forward, but also at the same time are heavily focused on one character. Like, remember when we got Annie, and she had that chapter where before she was revealed as the Titan, the Crystal Stoics. Yeah, we got to see her as a person and sort of an insight into what her inner thoughts were and how she acted. So we need, but it also moved the plot forward. So we need an episode in a manga form of characters like Armin and Jean and all those people, so that we can actually get more importance and we can actually feel for these characters. Because right now it's like they're just there.
I agree with you, but that's a difficult thing to do. Because to actually do that for so many of these characters who need it, we have to actually establish, like, right after that, like how Annie did it, how there has to be something important related to this character as to why this is here. Because otherwise it'll just be, it'll appear as a filler chapter or a filler episode.
Yeah, and then we just sacrificed a month to learn about John's backstory with his mother.
Because people like me and Scotty wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be fine with them doing that for characters that don't have, like, immediate major plot relevance, if they did it, like, as a side chapter that didn't take away from the monthly chapter.
So
kind of like an OVA from the manga.
I think as we're demonstrating, that would be a very difficult concept to pull off.
Yeah.
Because if they're not as important as Annie was when they established that for her, then people are just going to be turned off to it, as like using an entire chapter for that. So
they can use that stuff to stick to the OVAs.
The characters you have to give that to is someone like Armin, who's going to be able to follow it up with a super important thing in the next chapter, you know?
And then maybe, because you're right, you can't delegate a chapter specifically for the development of the minor characters, but what if maybe there was a chapter to like lump together a lot of the minor characters and develop them all at the same time? Like, you have the Connies, the Sashas, the Jeans. I know Jean's a little bit more important than the rest of those people I mentioned, but you get what I'm saying. And you lump those people together, and then you have a chapter where they all have to overcome like a specific obstacle. Like, even perhaps when they go out to Shingishina district or whatever, and they try to reclaim the basement, what if like Aaron and the very hardcore important characters like Mikasa and Levi go on their own, to deal with one threat, and then the side characters have to deal with another threat, and then it goes into like each character's specific like feelings towards the situation, and then we get a sort of partial development on their part. I would like something like that.
You could even accompany it with a small flashback or a small piece of dialogue that is appropriate for them. I'm on board with that idea.
I mean, we really kind of did get this in that one OVA where Krista was kidnapped and all the trainees went to rescue her.
But that was a shitty OVA.
True. I actually did forget about it until just now. But
Ooh, that was a bad OVA.
I forgot about it because I repressed it, and now that you brought it back up, that's a shame.
Woo. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Speaking of OVAs, now we know that the second one with John and the omelet is canon. So is that?
Well, actually, I was thinking you were gonna I thought you were getting ready to reference that, and I'm glad you didn't, because that one wasn't important either.
Well, yeah, I did want to bring up that it's now canon some point in this podcast, so I found a good place to shoehorn it.
I do like Scotty's idea. I like the way you would phrase it is like you have this chapter where they're progressing towards the basement where they get separated. You have the characters who need development. You take all of them, or just 2 or 3 of them, depending on how obvious you want to make it. And as they're isolated, go ahead and run their progression through there and have them overcome their threat and come back out of it. Maybe we spend a chapter or 2 there and get some more insight on some of those minor characters, and that would help them tremendously, I think.
So maybe, like, just have all the side characters fighting Reiner and Bertholdt while Aaron's duking it out with Monkey Trouble or something?
That's what I was thinking.
Sort of like, let's take a chapter or 2 to remove them from the big plot. Let's take them over here and give them a little small plot right in the middle of this so that we can just give them a little bit of development and sort of point it back towards the big plot so that we're helping these characters who need development at the same time, but we're not taking too much away from the big plot either, other than depriving you of seeing the things that you want to see a little bit. You know, it'll be drawn out a little more instead of being as quick as you would like it to be. But it's for the sake of these other characters that you want to know more about, you know?
Yeah.
It's definitely a tough situation to try and write out, but I like that approach myself, even if it is a little obvious.
Speaking of progression, towards the end of this chapter, I like how they showed that the citizens are now on board with the Survey Corps, which they haven't been in a very long time. So, in a lot of regards, like how this chapter reinforced that some of the main characters stayed the same in their goals, the citizens and the population have actually changed a lot on their opinions of the Survey Corps, because in the beginning they were all like, you waste all our money and look how many body bags come back up after every expedition, and now it's like, yeah, replug that wall and let's get our land back, hooray.
Yeah, I'm sure
might be because they just forcibly took over the government and now they have all their guns pointed at the civilians.
But they still
love us or else.
Yeah, but it still seemed like genuine enthusiasm, and I'm sure the reason he said I'll put that in wasn't to but still, I get your point.
It's like we talked about earlier. It's just to highlight the difference between then and now. Because, like we said, the whole point of this chapter was to show the difference between then and now as far as growth goes for some of these characters. So that's just putting the final cap on that. And showing the biggest difference is that, hey, humanity actually supports the Survey Corps now. Good job, guys.
Is in their hearts.
Yep. Besides
up with all this random shit, I apologize, but not really.
Wait, I missed completely what you said. Can you say that again?
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Nope. Well, all I was going to say really was, besides the parallels that were made between the earlier chapters and the mess hall and whatnot, I feel like this chapter really didn't have a whole lot in it in terms of going like deep into development.
In terms of meat, you could say.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's clever.
Good.
That's clever. But because I'm just like flipping through the pages.
Like, I'm grasping at straws to find something to talk about.
I'm flipping through the pages and I literally do not know what else to talk. Like
I've been sitting on something here for a while. If you want me to
have something, please go.
Give you 10 minutes to think.
Go ahead.
Let go.
I kind of wanted to talk about the Ackermans. Sorry, Stiller. This chapter kind of made me realize we've known 3 Ackermans, right? Kenny, Levi, and Mikasa. And all of them have had a similar relationship with someone. That being that they kind of like follow and serve someone, right? Kenny followed Yuri and later Rod. Levi follows Erwin to the point of threatening to break his legs for his own good. And Mikasa follows Eren. I was wondering if that's just really a mechanism of the Ackermans, like they're built to serve or some crap. Or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. That it's a common theme among Ackermans that they are devoted to others that they care about, I guess, is what you're getting at. Right?
They can imprint on someone.
That's
one way of putting it, I guess. That works as a mechanism.
Are you using a Twilight reference right now?
What? No.
The imprint... Never mind.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, unless he means something else.
Yeah, I don't know what else.
I mean, it's the same mechanism, but I've seen that in many different kinds of literature.
How do I respond to that? Okay, it's an interesting point. I acknowledge it. I think it seems to be something that's real. I would agree. I'd say that's the thing.
Imprinting is a real psychological term.
No, it is. I never said it wasn't.
So it's not just some Twilight bullshit, even though I may or may not have read that series in the 8th grade.
Scotty, go. Oh my God, 8th grade? Jesus Christ!
You have nothing you can use against
Scotty, please.
What I was gonna say is, I agree that seems to be a theme with the Ackermans. However, I don't know if it's necessarily like a biological thing. I think it's almost like they're a product of their environment, which is they've been by the Rices, they've been almost hunted to extinction, and that kind of made them grasp towards other people to defend themselves. Whereas the Rices seem a little more not independent, but they're out for themselves. Whereas the Ackermans have to stick together with other people, and they can't be on their own. Because if they are, then the Rices would just attack them, kill them, let them go extinct. And, it's almost like a necessity for them to have, like, developed this bond with other people, just for survival purposes. But yeah, it's definitely like a theme I see.
It's not a biological thing, it's more of a, like you said, a product. It's just how their family traits seem to carry forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say traits, it's not the right word. Their luck, I guess. It's because all three of these guys have found themselves in similarly, that word, I hate that word.
Similar situations?
Similarly shitty situations. That's happened to all three of them. And I don't think that's something innately that happened to them, like, oh, they were born, this is going to happen to them at some point where they're going to attach to someone else. This is just kind of how their lives have led them, I guess. It's not something you, like, specifically shared between all three of them. That's something that each of them have individually come to.
Right. It's not like the same equivalent to how Mikasa had like an on switch where she became a badass immediately. It's not as if they
we did see that switch at one point.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like that. It's more of like, oh well, my family all sticks together with one another, and they help others who help them in turn. So it's like a help, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your relationship, and that's how they survived throughout.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
You scratch my back, I'll scratch your relationship?
Your back type of relationship. Did I not say that right?
No, not really.
Did I not say that right, Stiller?
You said I scratch, and I filled out the rest of the phrase in my head.
Yeah.
I would, but he finished the sentence, so...
I don't think... Like, originally you had presented the point as a construct of being something specific to the Ackerman family. I don't think it's something that's related to the Ackermans just as a whole. This is something that just these three individuals have been led to.
Yeah,
it's not
I suppose, but it is interesting that we haven't seen that with any other characters.
It is interesting that all three of them have gotten to the same point, but it has to be completely independent of each other, because how could that not be?
Right.
Although you could easily see the point where you go, this is a bloodline thing, because they all had that moment where the switch flipped and they did become a badass.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, we already know that they have weird family shenanigans going on, so...
If that last point that I just said, if that's an actual thing, I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, you mean the badass point?
The point where they just instantly flipped the switch and went from, hey, I'm a normal person, to, hey, look at me and my fucking superpowers. Because I was
what do you mean
born
you don't want to talk
with
about it? Because, what do you mean if it's a thing? Because we know it's a thing. Levi and Mikasa had a specific discussion about it. Stiller must have blocked it out of his memory.
I don't want to go there. Okay, that whole section of the manga for me is like a black void. I have like sealed off in my mind that I just don't go into anymore.
Oh, I still remember that time from a couple podcasts ago where, like, after a half hour's argument, you realized that your entire premise was wrong.
About Reiner. Oh no, about Rice.
That was about
Rice.
Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that was one of the moments where I just started sealing stuff away. Like there's a room in my brain that's just locked off. It has like police tape across it that says "Do not enter."
A room.
He's just repressing his memories.
And all the stuff about the mind wipes and all the stuff about the Rice father ghost possessive man and all the bloodline stuff and all that crap is just bottled into this individual room that I just don't go into.
Hey, Stiller.
It's never gonna come up again. It never
Hey,
happened.
Stiller.
Let's move on.
You say it's never gonna come up again, right, Stiller?
We're done with it. It's gone.
Hey, Stiller, guess what Erwin was talking about this chapter?
Nothing. He talked about nothing. Absolutely nothing. From this point forward, I'm going to pretend every time that comes up in a chapter, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see it and it never happened.
I will hold you to this promise.
You do that because I'm just going to not acknowledge it. Because that stuff never happened, ever, ever, ever. And we're moving on from that.
Nice. Speaking of moving on, I remembered one last point I had to make about this chapter, which was I liked how they developed, and they've continuously been doing this throughout the more recent chapters. They've been developing Levi as a character. How he was sitting on the other side of the wall when the three main characters were discussing their ambitions and goals, and then you saw Levi was just leaning there, just listening.
Can I change that to doorway? Because when you said wall, doorway? I thought of something totally different.
Well, oh. Yeah, I guess.
What do you think of?
Okay. Because he said he was sitting on the other side of the wall. Okay. Oh, why is he outside the wall?
No,
he's suicidal.
Yeah, exactly. He's finding Grisham.
He's a suicidal maniac.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that was.
John was just saying that there was only one, so Levi wanted to prove him wrong.
That was a dumb.
But no, I like how they showed that parallel between how he used to be, because that was definitely at one point his mentality, although we did see a more troubled, hardened lifestyle as a kid, comparatively speaking to everyone else in this squad. But even still, he definitely had those same one day I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And to see how the life that everyone in the 104th squad is going through right now, Levi's lived years and years and decades in almost. So he's almost the end product of what the Survey Corps will do to you, or army in general will do to you once you've lived it for long enough. So
Levi is a walking PTSD ad. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like this is the first chapter where I've actually been able to recognize Levi's development and bonding with his team. Seeing him sitting on the other side of that doorway where Armin and the gang are talking about their dreams and their aspirations or whatnot, and Levi's sitting on the other side just listening. I see that as him recognizing the bond that's between them, and he's able to internalize that and sort of share in the same ideas now that he knows what their aspirations are. That he's kind of more, more willing to share the idealism. And seeing that, for me, it's the first time I've been able to recognize that, because other times it's been a little bit more vague and subtle. Seeing it here, I think, is a good point on Levi's development. So I was glad to see that. I think that's a good point for his development, that he's actually showing a little bit more of that bond. But when we move back to the discussion between him and Erwin, I have to groan at that idea that they're going to push one can never know what choice he has to make and has to live with. They're gonna push. they're gonna push that again in the next chapter or so, or whenever it happens. When something happens to somebody, there's gonna be a decision somebody makes, and he's gonna say that damn line again. I'm not ready for it.
He should just say something else like "make a choice with no regrets," because then it's a whole different reference.
Oof, I'm not ready for it. I don't want that. I don't want him to make either reference. Because it's so cheesy at this point. Come on now. We know
it is cheesy. It's overused. I hate when all those instances where it's Aaron, especially with Aaron, you need to make a choice right now, then every choice he makes is horrible, and it's just one of those things where it always gets people killed. We need to move on from this. We need a different device that
Aaron just needs to learn not to make choices.
Yeah,
or not make choices around Levi.
It almost seems like they're trying to get the point, which is you're just fucked if you do, fucked if you don't. It's there's no winning situation when you make a decision. So you're almost like a side character.
This is gonna be.
They should hire Aaron, a dedicated choice maker.
This is gonna be.
So bring him around, strapped to Aaron's back. Whenever Aaron has to choose to do something, he just turns around, and the other guy's like, "Go left." Aaron's like, "Okay, good."
Yeah, thank you.
Now people won't die because I chose to go right.
But what were you saying, Stiller?
This is going to be a dumb thing, but I'm thinking, like, my brain went, what if Levi was Batman? And
It seems it.
And
Make a choice with no regrets.
And one night he stops Two-Face, or he goes after Two-Face. He's robbing a bank, and Two-Face holds up his coin when Batman gets there, and he says, "Batman, I'm gonna flip this coin, and I'm gonna see whether I shoot you or not." And Levi Batman goes, "Well, whatever choice you make, you have to live with. Don't make it a choice that you regret, Two-Face."
Oh my god, that's the best Levi voice I've ever heard.
They should hire me to be the dub voice actor.
You nailed it. Jesus.
Probably better than what they have.
You know,
that's
the
first thing
there.
that popped into my head, though, because it seemed like that's such a common thing that he says, or that's such a common thing that his character is about, that it's annoying. But like I mentioned before, I had gone into that. He did have a good moment in this chapter for his development, so it kind of equals out. For me.
Which one? Threatening to break Erwin's legs?
No, the one with him on the other side of the door from Aaron and company. The one
I may or may not have had to say that like 3 times because I'm still getting used to this damn push to talk.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I kind of cut you off, even though I've been trying not to.
Oh, you're fine. It was that thing I was talking about before we moved to this point. So, it's fine. It's in chronological order. People should be able to follow that.
Yeah.
Because I can't really explain it.
Because you've already forgotten what you said.
Indeed. So, I guess the only other thing we could talk about that I could think of, aside from the other big one that was more fun to talk about, is Grisha being mentioned in the beginning of this chapter, and they talked about, man, that conversation, that entire conversation, for me, boiled down to, man, it would have been so nice if Grisha had helped us instead of not helped us.
Basically. Also, fuck
entire
shots.
Conversation. Also, fuck Shadows. Yes, that was there too. That was that entire. Well, how many pages was that? It was like 5 pages, 6 pages. That was like one line. That whole conversation.
And they brought up the thing that Stiller thinks didn't get brought up.
Yeah, it's like I feel like those pages could have been better served with something that isn't summed up so easily. And that thing that doesn't exist that was supposedly in there too that I don't know anything about. I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen.
Whatever you say.
It's not even gonna. Honestly, it's not even important until it plays out, which it will in the next chapters.
Even when it does play out, it still won't be important.
Yeah,
because
hopefully not.
There will be cooler things to focus on.
I don't know if it will or will not be important, but all I can say is I'm with you on the fact that I don't want it to be important.
It's
definitely not one.
But it's not important because it doesn't exist, you see?
Oh, I get you.
What doesn't exist?
Nothing doesn't exist.
And you know what?
So everything exists? Including, like, mind wipes and crap? Because that would be bullshit.
No, that's bullshit. See, that's not nothing.
But you just said nothing doesn't exist.
Yeah, but bullshit isn't
which
nothing.
Which means everything exists.
Nothing.
I think it's time to stop this and move into the questions.
No,
Stiller, you need to be better with your phrasing.
Well, no,
damn it.
I agree with Scotty. We do need to move on, but I could continue that train.
Fuck you.
So, before we go into questions, what do we think about the last panel where the cool thing happened, where we saw Reiner and Bertholdt? And they look different now. They look cooler. They got redesigns. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's cool.
The sun's going down. They got a cool, like, graphic, like, typographic effect going on in the top panel. And they look cool, and shit's going down soon. Yeah. This is the hype panel of this chapter.
Yeah, but that's the point, is, like, again, it goes to the same point, which the topic that shall not be named for what we were just not discussing / which is that it's cool when it happens, but just to see a shot of them right now waiting, it's like, yeah, that's awesome. It'll be epic when it happens.
It's meant to hype you up.
It's not something that I can talk about for minutes at this point. It's just like, it's there. I can't wait until it happens.
To me,
that's about all.
You're killing me, Scotty. This was the best part of this chapter.
It was, but it's the best part of this chapter, which says a lot, because this part of the chapter was foreshadowing a different chapter. So it's the best part of this chapter was something that didn't have to do with this chapter.
That's right. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with you. but it's still cool.
And that's not even to say, like, it sounds like when I say that I don't like this chapter. I like this chapter.
Yes, it does.
No, yeah, I do like this chapter.
Yes,
it's just
but no.
There's not a lot. No, like, yes, but you know what I mean. Shut up, I hate you. All I'm saying is...
It finally comes out!
No, that wasn't known? Oh, no, I hate you, for sure. I hate all of you. No, but besides that, that this was a good chapter for what it was, and what it was a setup. So there's not a lot to talk about in a setup chapter. So even though it's like, let's go on with the questions because we're repeating ourselves, even though I say that, it doesn't mean that I don't like the chapter. That's all I wanted to say.
I love it. It's so good. What a great explanation.
I feel like you're making fun of me right now, Stiller, and I hate you for it.
Don't say!
Did I say that already, that I hate you?
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
The only thing I was going to talk about with Reiner and Bertholdt is their redesigns. Specifically Bertholdt, because Bertholdt looks fucking awesome in this last panel.
It does, honestly. I like the hair. That's cool.
These last two chapters with Monkey Trouble, or these last couple of chapters, I should say, with Monkey Trouble and now Reiner and Bertholdt appearing and looking slightly different, has me super hyped up just because of their redesigns, because Bertholdt and Monkey Trouble both look fucking awesome now. They both look great!
Also, like, side point, it seems in this chapter, like in this panel, that they're on top of the wall making camp. And I don't know how big the garrison is, but wouldn't that be like a red flag? Hey, there's a campsite with like legit tents on the wall. I think we should check that out. Like, nah, it's okay. We're the garrison. We don't care about that. It's like, oh, okay.
What they did was they set it up
The
as
garrison
the sun's
isn't
going
patrolling
down.
on Mario, though.
Well, they're setting the sun. They're setting it up as the sun's going down. No one's going to be able to see it at night.
But it's not even the night yet.
Well,
if they said
it's getting there. So it's going to be.
So they're going to be in a time and place where they can't be seen?
That's right.
How does that help them then, though? I don't understand.
Because no one at the time is going to see it either, just because by the way, they checked their surroundings first off to make sure it was okay to do before they set up.
It's flat out set up, though, which means they spent like probably an hour before this.
Which means they scouted out the area ahead of time.
What do you? So there's
an infinite amount of time before when they set up that camp that they could have spent checking out the area.
Okay, well, I'm not going to continue that train of this is going nowhere. But that doesn't mean they're secure because there's an infinite amount of time before they set up their tent. Before
you know what, though? Even if they're not secure, who cares?
No, I know.
Time shifters. What are they worried about?
Stiller, I'm grasping at straws because you're trying to prevent the inevitable questions of the podcast that we're going to get to from a freaking picture about two people, which we should spend 1 second on anyway.
Well, I'm not avoiding the questions. All I wanted.
Here's what happened. They set it up there because they checked it out from the ground and saw that given any angle, it couldn't be seen. End of discussion.
Yeah, they covered all bases. They went aerial too. They had like a blimp they borrowed from that one guy, and they made sure that nobody was around.
No, I'm not gonna continue. That's dumb. I'm just not gonna say that.
And they got the help of Connie, and then he also was in the blimp as disguise doing reconnaissance on them.
So the only reason I had brought up this panel, as I've mentioned already, is that I wanted to talk about how cool Bertholdt looks in this chapter. He looks really cool.
I seriously feel like that's just the wind blowing his hair.
I don't know. It feels like I've gotten this vibe from this chapter and with the Monkey Trouble reveal that both of these guys are designed to look like fighting game characters because they're going to be fighting soon. So that's the appeal that I'm looking at. So I see that. I recognize that. That's some hype shit we've got going there. I'm looking forward to getting them back involved.
Yeah.
Best part of this chapter. Yeah. That was a little much.
That was way too much. Oh my god. Do you woke up a family there?
No, I'm all alone.
That should have just been like a Ric Flair woo.
You're in the same location as Reiner and Bertholdt, actually. If they pan to the other side of that wall, there'd be another tent where you are with your laptop, like recording this podcast.
And that's why in the bottom panel Reiner looks so annoyed.
Yeah, because he's like, out of all the locations you had to scout, Bertholdt, did it have to be the one with the other tent, 10 feet away from us?
With that weirdo in there screaming at things.
He's like fanboying at the sight of us. Like, I'm pretty sure he knows we're shifters, which is really weird.
Should we kill him?
It's like, no, there's a bubble around him. Just throw him up. Time vortex.
It's that cannon bubble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Fifth wall.
It's the fourth wall, exactly. The fifth wall?
Fifth.
Or whatever. Wow, we should definitely get into questions.
Okay, so yeah, time for questions that you submitted to us through the subreddit and through our email.
And we've magically gotten 4 more since the beginning of this podcast.
Because, yeah, magic. So, the question exists now, though. If someone wanted to send us questions as we were recording a podcast, where would they send those questions?
Well, if you go to reddit.com/r/Shingeki no Kyojin and look at the right side of the page, you will find a button named Link to Podcast Questions just above the military police box that lists the subreddit moderators.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Good work. Alternatively, if they wanted to send us a direct email to our actual email, where would they send that?
snkpodcast@gmail.com.
Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful.
That was so beautifully done, I just had to woo it.
Yep.
So what you're saying is...
God, that, hurts my ears when you do that. I need to turn the volume down. Jesus.
I'm not even screaming especially loud. My method is just put my nose up against my pop filter and go, woo!
That's a great method you should forget and never do again.
Yeah, that's true. He's right. You should forget that.
But what you shouldn't forget is when will Sasha get her own spin-off series, which is our first question.
Never forget that. Because
Never forget
that is a thing that is important to remember forever.
It's important to remember we're actually doing questions right now, which I think everyone has forgotten.
There you go. Perfect. Time for questions. The question is, when will Sasha get her own spin-off series?
Is that the question? Huh?
That's the question.
That is the question.
Seems like it's almost a question.
I would say that the answer is, given the fact that we just got an announcement of Attack on Titan Junior High being a thing, instead of something deserving like before the fall, probably Q3 2015 or 2016.
That's debatable, whether that was worth it over the other one. But I think, considering that we've already talked about how Sasha just got fucking ruined in this chapter,
we kind of poo-pooed her entire character. So it's like now to discuss what is she gonna get her entire own spin-off? It's like I don't think
this is never.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever gonna get her own spin-off. Maybe the side characters
cooking
combined.
with Sasha.
Cooking with side characters.
If she ever somehow becomes a super important character, maybe. But right now, never, ever, ever.
I highly doubt any
Sasha.
time would be devoted to her, that much time, to make her a super important character, deserving her spin-off.
If they made a side story, or if they made, their own little spin-off that was just, the kitchen characters, starring Sasha, that would be it.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be the thing.
Cooking Mama.
Also starring Sasha. That'd be the thing. Other than that, not gonna happen.
Yep.
Not gonna happen.
Nah. Who do you think should be the face of humanity? I think it should... I mean, this all depends on what you want kind of humanity to be. Because if you want to be a military-based society, then I would definitely...
You gotta put the marketing team to work on this one.
Yeah.
Because what's the right image to sell? What do you want humanity to feel when they see the face of humanity? What's the takeaway? What are you trying to get over?
Pants-pissing fear.
Well, I mean, if you did that, you would put up a picture of
exactly. Yeah.
What we want though would be something like angry face Historia or strong face Historia.
Yeah, I think if we can take any lessons from the U.S. elections right now, it's that the people with the best policies aren't necessarily the ones who get the most recognition. It's the loudest and the most memorable.
Yeah.
So I would say
Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders for policy, Donald Trump for the face. But yeah, but I would say in that regard, I would want Historia, because she's definitely the prettier face out of all those people, and she's already in a position to lead, or at least to have the face for leading. So I would definitely say she should be the face of humanity.
Who did you say?
What? Historia. All of that. I hate you so much still. Where'd you go?
And I thought I was negative. Jeez.
You started talking about politics and I zoned out.
Good.
If that tells you anything.
Tells me a lot.
Stiller, if you're not going to vote, I'll take your ballot.
Well,
That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not.
I need an extra vote for Bernie Sanders, okay?
You're not even old enough to vote, are you?
Actually, I will be for the general election. By, like, a week, but still.
Oh my god, that was so good. That was good. Good job, Scotty.
Thank you. Who do you think's still?
I'm gonna. I don't know. Fucking like. The obvious choice would be like if you could get a good picture of Levi, that would probably be the good way to go.
You mean one where he doesn't have resting bitch face?
Well, because the idea is like who wins the popularity contest, and obviously that's Levi. So you would put it.
It's that chapter where they were walking around Trost, and Levi wasn't popular there.
He's humanity's strongest soldier. He's, the brute force guy. He's the inspirational sort of fella without actually knowing anything about him. Like, God, what's that one guy's name? That one military general whose name escapes me, who was all like, what men who like exemplify what men are. I can't think of the name of it. The name of the guy.
Oh, it's Alex Louise Armstrong.
No, it's
I love how he said that so confidently, and still was just like, no, that's not
him. I was thinking about a real person, like an actual human being.
Oh, you're talking about the most interesting man in the world, like the Toseki's guy?
No, he was an actual military general.
Like Ulysses S. Grant?
He he was a World War II general.
Actually, the most macho person in government I could think of is Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Roosevelt.
That works, but that's not who I'm thinking of. God damn it, it's going to kill me. I can't think of it.
I still say Alex Louise Armstrong.
Wait,
what was his name? What was his name? That's who it was. It's George Patton.
I said that like 5 times.
You didn't say General Patton. Fuck off.
I think no. I don't know.
I definitely said Patton.
You didn't say Patton. Get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, that's your answer, which is really weird, but let's use that. Patton is your answer.
That wasn't my answer. I was going to reference Patton as that's the kind of figure you want, which is why I picked Levi.
Oh, okay.
Even though I'm not happy with that answer, because I would like to get a good version of Historia to use, but I don't think
a good version, as if Historia is just a bad version of herself.
A picture, I mean, like a good picture, like that would be inspirational,
Oh, you mean? Well, I mean, what about the World War II pictures or World War I? I forget about the woman who was like all buff. I forget her name.
The one where she's like holding her arm sideways and she does the we can do it thing.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Riveter.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, we heard you. Still,
I was gonna pop up in like 5 minutes and say, "Oh, that's her name, Rosie the Riveter."
Yeah.
Fuck you, Zach. You didn't say anything about that.
No, that's true, though. You didn't say anything about that. I'm gonna recall that in 5 minutes, and I'm gonna act as if I'm the one who came up with that.
Yeah, because Zach never says anything right the first time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Undeniably true.
Yep. Anyway, did you answer the question, Zach?
I think like Historia or when someone like that.
Okay.
It's not easy to...
I don't really think Levi, he's got too much resting shit for Brain's face.
He really does, honestly. I don't know if I could get enthused, like, as just a citizen. Like, if I saw him in action, sure, that's awesome. But if I see him just, like, walking around town...
at an air show, but
I'm not going to get excited about it.
Talking to Levi when he constantly looked like someone is literally holding a bag of garbage below his nose.
This is why we use symbols instead of pictures.
Yes. Yep, that's actually true. Yeah.
Man, is it tough to come up with an interesting response for that question. Like, shit, man. I don't know.
What do you guys think of the Attack on Titan game coming out?
I think it's going to be fucking awful.
I do too, and the fact that we only literally saw, like, not even gameplay, we just saw, like, a cool cinematic that wasn't even...
We didn't even see a cool cinematic. We saw words.
It was words, so
I think a new trailer might have come out today. I didn't click on the link. I'll go find it now.
We saw words that had music played over them, and it's like, shit, we could have done that, man.
Yeah. So
advertising.
Yeah. As Zach's looking it up, if there isn't a video, then I'm going to say that there's not anything to go off of.
Well, isn't it the same team that made the 3DS game, which was just a quick time game?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but I hope it's definitely more of what the first game promised but didn't deliver.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah, I don't have much faith in it either. If you had to explain SNK and its fandom to a child, how would you do it? Well, I mean...
I wouldn't, because the child shouldn't watch this show.
Yeah, that's what I'm... Yeah.
Yeah, probably not safe for children.
Short answer to that question.
On a side note, I found the trailer, and it's not a new trailer. It is literally someone who ripped the trailer, added a 30-second intro of their channel, and then posted it to Reddit.
So that's not even okay. So
Fuck
that first
guy.
question.
Fuck you.
I mean, the graphics look pretty good so far, but
Not
You
enough
mean the
information to make a decision.
stills of this pre-rendered background?
yeah.
If there's anything less convincing or less informative than a still of a video game, but yeah,
God, it's gonna be awful.
not enough information. Will withhold judgment, but not looking optimistic.
I'm
Very
not withholding my
pessimistic.
judgment. It's fucking awful. It's gonna be terrible.
It's and not even. You're not even saying it's going to be. You're just like it is. Like I know the final product. It
is already awful. It has been designed from day one to be purposely as awful as possible.
I already know it's not. It's not worth your money. It's not. It's not worth $60. Next question, I think. If you had to explain SNK to a child, Zach, I didn't think. Are we all going to stick with that answer, or are we actually going to try and answer it?
If you want to do it, when you say child, it's pretty broad. If it was like let's say preteen, like Zach's age, I'm just kidding, a little younger.
Just a little, just a little younger.
Little younger. I would say, like almost like an explain it like I'm 5 kind of situation for SNK. I would say it's a lot of people have to deal with big bad villains. And then they have to unite to defeat them.
Villains is a pretty big word to use to a 5-year-old.
How do you explain like Carla getting eaten?
You don't.
It's like the ending to the BFG.
What? Oh no, I still have no idea.
That classic Roald Dahl book, the big friendly giant.
Nope. Nothing here.
His story would be relevant for the next arc or not? I say no. Oh, yeah.
No, that was their answer to the questions they were providing.
Right, but that's not a question in itself.
That's true.
Yeah, well, fuck you. There was a question.
What Stiller said was technically true, which is the best kind of true.
That's right. You're totally right.
Besides that, my like legit answer to that is I don't think Kisayama's really focused on more than one character besides the extreme main characters like Eren and those people, more than one steady arc. So I think that Historia wrote out her relevance for the most part, and now she's just going to be not necessarily a side character. She might play a lot of relevance, but not be the main focus.
It sucks, but I agree with that. Because I'd like to see more side characters involved. We talked about that earlier. I also
agree. Historia is probably just going to fade back for a little bit until we get Yumiya back. She's probably not going to appear much.
If we get Yumiya back...
Sorry, if.
A lot of those ifs. Do you think the close of Reiner and Bertholdt at the end of Chapter 72 is proof that the Titan village is more modern than the walls? That's interesting.
No. I don't think they have any fashion designers back home.
Yeah, and to even assume that they got them from back home is also another, because we see that they made they set up tents and like I mean they could have easily went into town and gotten clothes. They could have just kept clothes while they were in town previous and they weren't even discovered yet. So to assume they went back to their village and they like got a new wardrobe there is a little presumptuous. But even still, I wouldn't read too much into it.
Like Bertholdt's just wearing a jacket, like a wife beater and jeans.
Why do they call it a wife beater? That has got seriously, sidetrack here. That has got to be one of the most fucking stupid names for an article of clothing I've ever heard in my life.
They call it a wife beater because it's stereotyped that the people who wear that kind of shirt are domestic, like violence people.
Yeah, but it's not even a slang term for the clothing. It is literally the accepted term.
Yeah, and it's not even like subtle. It's just like that's a wife beater.
It's a wife beater, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I love how people colloquially just like they just say it as if like it's just so normal because it is, but irrelevant. But yeah,
anyway.
I understand. Yeah. So I guess none of us really care about the relevance of the clothes, or
like just based on what they're wearing. Like Reiner was wearing like a blanket or some shit. Like I don't even. He could be wearing a tarp.
He had a white T-shirt and it looked like jeans with a blanket over him.
Whatever that is, regardless, it's like that's just regular street clothes. There's
Reiner's going full hikikomori.
Nothing fancy going on there, you know.
Well, I mean, the street clothes that we've seen so far are more like medieval peasantry clothes, with like belts with a big buckle and like straw pants. So.
Well, I mean, if Bertholdt's not wearing a wife beater, and if it's actually just a regular T-shirt, that's like one step away. That's like one step above being just rags.
Still, it does look like modern pants to me, so maybe not proof. It seems to imply to me that they do have more technology outside the walls. And Scotty, I see you edited that question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope all of you saw that.
No, I missed it. What did he change?
Oh, well then why did you just say that?
To for the expert to
Zach, you have to learn the subtlety of a joke.
Oh, I see it. I see what he changed.
Say it immediately.
Scotty, I thought that's what Stiller was laughing at. I thought he was laughing because he saw that you changed it.
No, that's what I thought too. But...
No, I just randomly laugh sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like a lot.
But anyway, next question. You want to read it?
That's why Stiller moved. He was being transferred to a mental hospital.
Yeah, the funny farm.
To another one. Not it was already one to begin with, but this is a better one.
So
then he burned it down.
To cap that last question, I love that we're trying to judge the state of a society's technological level by the clothing that a person wears.
Well, this came up last time we saw Monkey Trouble.
By a person's pair of jeans.
I mean, this came up when we first saw Monkey Trouble as well, as in the boots were more futuristic than the typical level of fashion.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't think boots are very futuristic.
Oh my god, this is...
Like if he was wearing, like, robot parts, or if he looked like Tron or some shit, then I'd be on board, but this is just like, oh, he's wearing boots, or oh, this guy's wearing jeans. Like, it's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between shoes from the 1500s and, like, military combat boots.
I would rather watch paint dry than listen to this conversation.
So you're saying that you're leaving the podcast and we can find someone new?
No, actually...
If we talk about boots for 5 minutes at a time, yes, let me out.
Stop this crazy train!
Like, I appreciate people digging deep and, like, trying to find hints, but Isayama has literally never put any, like, little... significant, like, oh, did you see that guy was smirking in that one chapter, which indicated that he knew all along? That none of that has ever happened in these chapters. So to assume he's trying to make some secret message based on the clothes is
it's not a secret message. It's just a little bit of foreshadowing, like how he writes out the whole actual messages in the different herring language and the normal wall language.
I find that hilarious.
That wasn't even fortunate. He just literally had the different languages. Like
well, that's a little tiny detail that no one would notice. That's going to foreshadow to later.
I think
languages, two different people.
Scotty's original point is hilarious, so I'm willing to move on.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, Scotty. You just be funny with the things that you want me to move on from, and I will. Just so you know. That's how that works. All right, next question. What is your favorite part about making the podcasts? Kudos to me for the extra effort. No, kudos. The original.
Again, I would have had that in at the perfect moment, but once again, stupid push talk.
The original comment actually said kudos to me, Distiller 3, for the extra effort of putting it in or putting it together. But it is actually a team effort of actually sitting here for however many hours and actually talking about this, each individual chapter.
I love how you make it sound like such a chore to talk to us.
I guess I have to meet with these people once a month.
You took it the other direction I was going, because I was going to say, like, oh, this is a team effort, and, everyone gets in here and we all sort of work together to make sure we're on point and whatever. But you took it the opposite direction, where I'm just like, these fucking guys that I have to put up with, it's all me, Well,
you're like, oh, we all put in so much work by sitting here and talking to each other.
Well, it would have been better than the route that you took it, so thanks for ruining the message, asshole.
Yeah, man.
We're just reinforcing the message now.
I was going to give you guys credit, but you went and fucking ruined it, so there's that.
I'm not saying we don't do a lot. I'm just saying you made it seem like such a short...
So now you're saying, oh, we do a lot. Oh, we do put in so much effort. It is just us, isn't it, huh?
What a humble Zach, huh?
Yeah, I see what you played at, guy.
Like me.
Guy. I ain't your buddy, guy. It's alright, well.
I appreciate that, Scotty. It was fun. Anyway.
Did you? Okay.
So, to actually answer the question, I would say my favorite part of the podcast is the bloopers. Like, the moments where we're actually here just, like, talking like normal people, and like recognizing like, hey, this is actually just a cool environment where dudes are just hanging out talking about a thing they like. And
like our regular debates on the humanity of putting pineapple on a pizza.
Yeah, our steak, you know.
Yeah, that too.
We have so many sidetrack arguments, and we have so much fun just talking about stuff. And that and the blooper reels are absolutely my favorite thing about the podcast.
We may or may not have had to redo the intro to this podcast 4 times, which led to us spending 5 minutes talking about putting together a blooper reel one of these days. And
I mean, even historically,
we get sidetracked.
Just historically going back, like every podcast that I edit, like I have to listen to the podcast again to catch everything. I have to go through each and every individual discussion. Sometimes
to find all the hilariously offensive jokes that I slip in for you.
Yeah, and sometimes I go into individual discussions multiple times just to make sure I have everything. And the discussions that I play back and I listen to us just, fucking around, it's a lot of fun. And I recognize that. And even being here recording a session like this, the parts that I edit out of this podcast are fun too, but they gotta go just for presentation's sake. But it's still a lot of fun, so that's my favorite part.
I do appreciate the fact that you don't make me look like a Nazi every single episode.
I mean, if I could make your character look bad by leaving that in, I would.
Oh yeah,
true.
But that hurts all of our images, not just
Mod
yours.
Wars.
I would leave in every single bit of bullshit that you say if it would hurt just your character if I could.
I love you too, Stiller.
You can see I'm not the only one who hates one another. I think we all hate each other.
We all do hate each other.
It's a great relationship.
The mostly like hate relationship is lovely. It's great. Great atmosphere.
Double hate equals love. It's like a double negative equals positive kind of thing.
Yeah.
It spills out onto the subreddit as well for all of us except Scotty because he doesn't actually use Reddit.
That's true.
I do, just not for SNK.
And to come out for like Mod Wars and crap. I really do like that, and I've got some more ideas on how to set your flare in ways that you can't change it.
Well, Mod Wars is a lot of fun, so... Well, you don't know how I actually fixed it the last time, so I'm looking forward to seeing you break it again.
What do you mean? You said you fucked it up a few times. What did you do?
Well, I'm not going to tell you. Because if you plan on breaking my shit again, I have to have my fix in place, because I found the easiest, most simple way to fix anything you could break.
See, what I did last time was I added a red herring flare that I didn't change him to, and then I also subtly swapped the sprite sheet so that his standard flare would be different, hoping that he wouldn't notice the sprite sheet because it wasn't an actual new image.
It worked at first, but I eventually did come around to it. So
yeah, you completely broke your flare at one point.
Yeah, it was bad for a while, but then I found like the best, most simplest way to fix not just that issue, but any issue. So
fuck,
we're good.
You figured out how to revert the style sheet, didn't you?
No, that's not what I did. Not at all. I didn't learn that our subreddit has a history button. Who are you kidding? So what about you guys? What is your favorite part of the podcast?
Pretty much the same thing you mentioned. I mean,
yeah,
like we don't edit or do anything like that, and I can't imagine that that'd be your most fun. It's probably your most hated part, honestly.
No, that's not the most fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
I love just sitting down for 12 hours at a time and listening to myself talk and delete it all.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yeah, but I would say the same as you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. All right. Next question then.
What would you replace? What would you replace Erwin's missing arm with? If you could pick anything to attach to that stump of an arm he has.
Dildo.
Okay, well that's your answer. I would say, if we're going time specific, I would say like, I wish it could be a prosthetic arm, but that doesn't really jive with Attack on Titan's time or technology. So I guess like a, I don't know what else. Maybe a grappling hook, a hook or something like that, because he can't use 3D maneuver gear really to its full potential or at all, I don't think, with just one arm. So if he could like somehow incorporate 3DMG into his arm so he could use it, still be a badass, that'd be cool.
By the way, though they don't work, prosthetic limbs have been around since ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So, my non-realistic answer is going to be a bionic arm, like a robot arm, like a cybernetic arm, because only the coolest of dudes have robot arms.
Is that true?
Like the Bionic Commando guy, Jax from Mortal Kombat, Edward from Full Metal Alchemist. The coolest dudes have like robot arms. Man, they're the best.
This is true.
But my actual like realsies answer is going to be similar to yours, where I just want like the stump should be modified, however that works, to like make it so that he could just attach a blade to it, like a 3DMG blade to it, so that it not only does he just have the blade, but if it breaks, he has the slot in his stump that he can replace it with, that he can just replace the blade to, so that he's like a pirate now. That he has the replacement like blade thing. It's cool.
Captain Hook.
Yeah, Captain Hookerwin. Captain Herwin.
Captain Hookwin.
Yeah.
Captain. Oh my god.
Damn you, Stiller. You actually took both of my answers, because first I was going to say an Edward Elric arm, and then I was going to say a 3DMG blade.
Yeah!
So, fuck you.
You misplaced. I said the 3DMG before even Stiller.
You don't count.
I was more specific.
That's true, you were. Oh my god, it's midnight.
Also, Wikipedia says that some mildly functioning prosthetic arms have been around since the 1500s, so it would possibly be viable.
Thank you, Wikipedia. I'm gonna start calling you Wikipedia, because you're a...
That's not far off from what I was called at the recent Explorer Academy I was at, actually.
Wikipedia, what's my weather gonna look like tomorrow?
Yeah, what's my...
Shitty.
So,
Ask
is
Brian.
Wikipedia known for weather? Is that what... Do you get your weather off of Wikipedia?
Well, I was going for a joke, and I couldn't think of anything, like...
That was
more practical.
Well, that's true.
Did you know that if you click the first link on every page, it comes up on Wikipedia, and then keep clicking the first link after that, you will eventually get to the page for philosophy.
Wikipedia, who is Cortana?
What kind of questions are you asking Wikipedia? Have you ever used Wikipedia? you said the Cortana and the weather. I don't think you've ever used Wikipedia before.
It's like that gif of Ellen Pao trying to use Google.
Hey.
She types into her search bar, Alta Vista search engine, goes to, clicks on the Wikipedia link for it, and then types in www.reddit.com.
There is a Cortana page on Reddit, goddammit. Or not on Reddit, on Wikipedia.
I would assume there would be.
That's why I asked. It's because I'm not a Halo guy, so I could be like, hey Wikipedia, tell me about Cortana.
Halo?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought Cortana was the Windows 10 Siri.
Yeah. Cortana is,
same thing.
It's also, isn't the Galaxy's, like, Siri equivalent? Or not Galaxy, I'm sorry,
Windows 10 equivalent.
Okay, yeah.
So what I literally just said.
Yeah, actually,
I'm tired
this is the one time I'll actually say that, yes, you did say that.
Thank you. I feel vindicated.
Don't feel vindicated because I'm on, like, half battery right now because I'm so tired.
Okay.
Oh, it's your own fucking fault.
Okay.
It is my fault.
What is your answer then, Zach? What was your substitute answer for this? Because I took yours.
Like a whip, maybe? Or a giant dildo again?
Is that really
I really have nothing.
That was worth repeating to you?
So
okay.
I'm going to go with whip was your answer. And
yeah, whip.
That was a solid choice between the two.
That's okay. That's pretty good. I like that. Next question is, if humanity has to cull its own population again because Aaron dies and Rose falls, which people should live or die? Play God for an instant. Okay, so
I'd just go full-on fucking battle royale and say it's a chance.
First of all, if Rose falls, we don't have this problem because everybody's fucked. Because we've already talked about this before. If Rose falls, there's not enough supplies for everyone left. There will be riots, there will be chaos, and everyone will die. This is not going to be resolved easily. Okay, so to actually answer the question, I hate you, Zach, because you took the answer that I was going to say, and say that we're going to do battle... I specifically thought of this before the podcast, and I was going to say, oh, well, they should do a Battle Royale thing and not do a Hunger Games thing, because fuck the Hunger Games. And you just totally robbed me of that opportunity.
Vengeance!
So, yeah, we're on par here, fucking guy. We're squared away now.
Yeah,
I just got
like
finished watching Mirai Nikki, so maybe something like that would be fun.
Yeah, that seems like the most obvious answer, though. And the most fun, honestly, so I think I'd go with that, too.
How much fun is that, though? That's so much
Battle
fun.
Royale? Do you forget that people used to fill coliseums?
No, I'm saying that is fun. I'm saying that's an awesome thing. It's great.
I thought you were saying, like, is that fun?
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
How fun is that, is what I actually said.
But the way you said it was like a...
Yeah, it kind of seemed like an outrage. How is that fun?
I put emphasis on is when I shouldn't have, so that's my fault.
No, that's fine. We're a very accepted community here.
Okay, it's good.
If we couldn't go Battle Royale for PC reasons or whatever, you could just say top 50% of the population get the hell out. Like, oldest, I mean.
Yeah, it's not as bad as other ways it could be used. I'm okay with that's not...
What, like by race? Because that's totally an issue in the walls.
I was going to say by, like, wealth. But
they've already got that.
Yeah, so...
Top 1% is already in concentration camps, so...
Oof, wow. Hello, North Korea.
So yeah, that's the end of that question. Everybody's answered it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Next question. If Erwin loses his other arm, how will he handle day-to-day tasks that require an arm? I'm going to answer this first so Zach doesn't steal my answer. This is reminiscent of the Monty Python sketch with the Black Knight, where Erwin, even if he lost all of his limbs, would still be a very capable person, and he would never give up, and he would always find a way to accomplish what he needs to.
By rolling around.
That's right.
That's a good answer.
It's just a flesh wound.
I would say if this scenario plays out and he loses another arm, he would be so irrelevant. If he doesn't die, it would be the worst thing ever.
No, actually, that's bullshit. He would carry a blade in his teeth, and he would ride that.
Fuck you, Stiller!
Is that really the answer you were going for?
Yes!
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 Well,
yes!
You got dumped over.
Stiller 2, Darth 1, yeah!
God damn it. Yeah, I was gonna say he would do things with his teeth, or more likely he'd probably just commit Sudoku.
Killed it. I nailed it. I'm doing great here. Alright.
Fuck you.
Scotty, what was your answer?
My answer was I don't think he would do anything. I think he would die because I don't see any possible way Isayama would write in Erwin losing both arms and still surviving.
He carries his blade with his teeth.
Or he suddenly gains the ability to use his legs like limbs.
He uses his legs to steer the horse.
Can you imagine using 3DMG with your feet?
Jesus.
Advance!
That image is great. Okay, next question.
Actually, guys, oh yeah, that's horrible. I can't get that image out of my head, and I don't think Stiller can either.
I can't.
I don't want it to leave.
We need fan art of this. We really do.
I would love fan art of that, but I don't think.
Oh shit!
If we get fan art of that, we will set that as the background for the video for the next chapter.
We can do that, yeah. This next question is going to be Scotty's last question before he dips out for the rest of the podcast. Anyway, we're going to let Scotty pick this last question before he dips out, and then me and Zach will finish the podcast.
Is there any way that the SC can actually win this upcoming battle? That's a good question.
It depends on how they approach the fight, if you ask me, because if they just ride up and decide to hey, we're just gonna fight you now, they're gonna get their fucking asses kicked hard by Team Monkey Trouble. They're just gonna fucking die. There's no way. So to me, they have to use some sort of subterfuge. They have to actually trick Monkey Trouble or something so that they can get to the basement without fighting him. Because that's the only way they're going to come back from this without any serious damage.
It does look like they may have developed some sort of new weaponry, because there's something that looks almost like a Gatling gun being carried between Hanji and Moblit in the last couple pages when they're moving out. So it seems like they'll probably have something up their sleeve that we haven't seen yet and won't expect. But other than that, yeah, I agree. They're going to get their asses handed to them.
This is also too early for them to be able to beat Monkey Trouble. So even with any new technology, fucking Monkey Trouble is going to stomp their shit in sideways if they try and fight straight up.
Yeah, they're not going to kill off Monkey Trouble in the first battle.
No chance.
It's going to be the second, sure.
And it seems like also that since Monkey Trouble kicked Reiner's ass, that those two, Bertholdt and Reiner, are now on his side to quench that or quelch that rebellion or like fight to reclaim the wall.
Which means
so now,
this super team is super tough, man.
Yep. I don't think
the Survey Corps is super fucked.
Just pretty much.
They're gonna have to go all out, and someone's gonna have to get the serum to make them into a Titan, and there's gonna be a lot of death and bloodshed, and I can't wait for it.
Even then, if they make someone a shifter, is that even gonna help? Because then they have to eat someone else, and then, oh man, that's not going to work out well for
And then
them.
they have to figure out how to use this thing.
Not going to work out well for them. Man,
it's like driver's ed for a Titan.
This is like, I'm looking forward to this train wreck. Like, this is going to be so cool to watch them eat shit so hard.
Just these past 2 minutes has gotten me incredibly hyped for the next chapter.
Yeah. I can't wait. This entire chapter was like a preview for the next chapter. And I can't wait for it. I think that was a great way to send me off. So, with that in mind, I guess I will.
Now you're stealing my lines, man. Come on.
What? Well, you don't have to put that in. I was saying that more.
He's complaining that you said "with that in mind" because that's Stiller's like key line he always uses every 10 seconds.
You didn't claim that phrase. You didn't coin that phrase.
I did coin that phrase. I say that every time we exit the podcast.
People owe you a lot of money because they use that phrase a lot.
They do owe me.
So,
I need like a debt collector.
You're right behind the "Let's get ready to rumble" guy.
Michael Buffer.
Yes.
He's a cool guy. I'm alright with that.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, but he gets a shit ton of money from that phrase.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he sues a lot of people as well.
Happy Birthday song requires royalties as well.
That's true.
I'm okay with being in that category. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a good category. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so I will catch you all later.
Next month.
Yep, well, I mean, I'll check you all throughout, but yeah.
Take it easy.
Yep. Alright, guys. See ya.
Thank God.
Alright, so now this is going to be super awkward and tough to get through the rest of these questions with just me and you.
There have been several times that we have considered doing two-person podcasts due to lack of scheduling. We've been like, fuck, I don't want to do that. Now Scotty's forced our hand.
Now we're going to get to see the experiment unfold.
Yep.
God,
there should be less of each other cutting each other off.
Well, I mean, this will be quicker getting through questions since there's only two of us, but at the same time, man, I don't know. Content's going to be fucking hard to get because this is going to be thick dead time just between the two of us. Okay, so first question. What if Historia actually still hates humanity and her orphanage is just a cover for a secret type of Hunger Games that she's running?
That would mean she's been taking a lot of lessons from Zackley, which does not make me comfortable.
I'm not uncomfortable with that idea. I originally, when she first talked about how... originally when she said that line about being an enemy of humanity, I was hyped. I was into that idea. So I kind of hope that you're right when you ask that question. So I'm on board. Works for me. I'm good with that. I hope it's accurate. Do you have
I don't know. It would be funny, but I don't really see that as being a viable option here. Yeah, but that would be one hell of a plot twist, though. Hey, just kidding, guys. I hate you all. Die.
Yeah. And then Ymir would be right there with her, and everything would be good for her, and yeah.
Just finally beat Monkey Trouble, they have to deal with Historia and the Orphans.
And Ymir, yeah, I'm on.
That would be an amazing band name, Historia and the Orphans.
Yeah, actually they would. I'm cool with that. That's a good idea. If humanity gets Maria back, should the nobles in the concentration camps be transferred to live in its 4 districts first and instead?
I don't think so, because...
Should they be the first people to populate that landmass?
No, I don't really think so, because it's... Was there, a little bit of competition to see who gets to live in Maria, or was I just imagining that? Because I feel like I remember them telling the population, like, hey, if you help us, you can help populate Maria first or something.
I think the idea was that they'd get first access to the good lands, like not even Maria specific, but they just get access to less dangerous lands.
True.
The idea behind this question is like, hey, if we take Maria back, it's still going to be super dangerous to live there for quite a while until we actually can fortify it and get it up to speed with the rest of our society. So
you think this question is asking, should they be transferred to live in the 4 districts before they finish killing all the Titans inside Maria?
Not necessarily before they finish killing them all, but just in general when they're able to actually build homes and actually make it livable again, or at least livable enough, they should... The question asks, should the nobles be put there? Like, should they have first access to that land because it's the most dangerous? And I would say, like, the people who have been affected by the fall of Wall Maria, who haven't been able to get back on their feet, those guys should probably get the land first because they need it more than the nobles do, but the nobles will be put there as punishment. So if you have that land mass where you can actually sentence the nobles there to suffer, like in danger and insecurity and that kind of thing, I think that would be totally fine. I'm okay with that idea.
I don't know. I just feel like it would be the Wild West or the final frontier, the land that you want first grabs at no matter what. So it almost feels like it would be a reward to them for me.
I think the idea of the Wild West is a good analogy for it because the nobles, we assume, are people who aren't very physically capable themselves, who
are good at surviving,
who would be in a lot of danger in a situation like the Wild West from other people of humanity who would abuse them like the nobles abuse the lower class people. So they wouldn't just be in fear of the Titans, they'd be in fear of other people living there who would probably try to rob them. So they would, I'm on board with that idea. That would suck for them, and that's what they deserve. So,
I don't know. I still feel like it would be a reward instead.
I mean, you could probably regulate it too, so that they can never hold power again. They could never I don't want to say run a successful business, but they should never be able to become noble again, for a lack of a better explanation. So the next question is, do you think the Shifter Village is really inbred? And I don't know where that idea comes from.
I could see it because it seems like it would be a small community, right? So within 100 years, or 150, or however long it's been, that does start to become a concern. If you have too small of a population and you need to start reproducing, how do you do that without having some level of inbreeding? So I could see it being a legitimate concern.
I don't know. To me, it just seems like because we know so little about the Shifter Village, it doesn't seem like the gene pool is actually that small. Like, we know, 4 people, 5 people from there? But we don't know anything about how big their families are. We don't know how big the village itself is. We don't know if they have any other, sister villages. We don't know nothing. So I don't think the likelihood is very good.
It's always struck me as being a small community, maybe 6 different families at most. It's small.
I thought of it as a small town, like America's small town, which is still thousands of a couple thousand people at least. It's a pretty sizable gene pool, I'd say.
Yeah, that's enough for diversity, but I don't know.
It's kind of hard to
play with this little information.
Yeah, it's hard to frame that question just because we know so little about it.
That was from Balls Deep 69. Excellent reference, by the way.
Yeah. Right. Next question.
I'm assuming you don't know the reference.
Balls Deep 69. I have no idea.
Sword Art Online abridged.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course that's why I don't know it. Next question is, if you had to be transported to the AOT world and could take 5 of your possessions with you, which would you take?
computer and microphone, so I could make this podcast from the wall right next to Reiner and Bertholdt.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's because you're in the tent, and that's the thing we talked about. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. That's good. Let's see. 5 possessions. What are the 5 most beneficial things I could take to help fix the problems? What is the 3DMG powered by? Is it gas?
Just compressed gas, that's all we know.
So we can't... Can we take a car?
Well, it's not like gasoline gas. It's like state of matter gas.
Got it. So no.
I don't know. Maybe like good gun technology, like rifled barrels, and
how about like a blueprint for a tank?
That might, yeah, something like that.
Like a blueprint for a plane, like a fighter jet.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, but it's 5 of your possessions, though, so things that you have in your house.
Like they would look at those, though, and they would be like, I don't know how to build this shit. I don't know what any of this is.
So you're going for the troll route. Like, here, guys, this will kill the Titans. Good luck figuring it out.
Well, isn't that well, not necessarily the troll route, but wouldn't you want to take, like, things that would just help them fix the problems? Wouldn't that just...
Yeah, but at a manageable level of technology.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you bring them a car, then they have to figure out gasoline and roads and everything else.
I mean, ideally, you would just want to dump information on them. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
so like
if we took your...
an encyclopedia. You could bring an encyclopedia.
Yeah, if we took your computer that you're recording this podcast on and, like, gave it to them so that they could access through the interdimensional portal, and they could
Then it would be a very nice brick, because, once again, there's no electricity or any of that infrastructure.
It still works for you, apparently, though. So they would just...
I'd bring a computer, a solar panel, an extension cord.
An extension cord, right. Just to stick it through the portal, I guess. So that they could access Wikipedia.
That's what the solar panel's for, to generate my own power.
Yeah, they could just access Wikipedia and just solve all their own problems. That would be great.
Wikipedia, how does the series end?
Yeah, that would work.
It's like a Mirai Nikki future diary.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to stop trying to answer this question because I can't think of anything. Yeah, if humanity wins and everyone's happy and there's a baby boom to repopulate the lands of Walmaria, which couple will have the most babies?
Not Ymir and Historia.
Yes, this is true. We'll have the most babies. I'm assuming we're going by ships here, so...
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Which couple will have...
Springle... fuck, I just deleted a question.
Well, the one that jumps out at me is Eren and Mikasa. Like, that seems like the most obvious. Because that's the only relationship, I think, left that's at all possible in the plot.
Well, they did say that Hanji had a huge crush on Shadis.
And she doesn't anymore, as of this chapter.
Well, she refused to admit it, so it might actually still be active just because she refused to admit it. Because you know how childhood works.
Well, she totally destroyed her image of him in her mind.
True.
In that last chapter. So that's done.
Yeah, I do think Connie and Sasha, and not just because they are like the only pair I ship in the series.
I think Connie Sasha is a good one. And I guess I'll go Eren and Mikasa because that's the dumb, obvious answer. And I don't know what else to put. I can't think of a better answer for that.
Mobley and Hanji?
I don't know who Mobley is. I see people talk about that guy, and I'm just like, oh, he's that background character?
Yeah, he's the guy that's always in the background. He's Hanji's helper.
How does he have a name?
Oh, Nifa had a name.
God, I don't know how I remember her name either. Jesus. It's awful.
I still remember when we were calling her Not Armin.
Yeah,
And then she died.
Yeah, she died. Okay, next question. I think I like this question. I can't believe Scotty didn't pick this question. How long would you last in AOT boot camp before dropping out and becoming a farmer? This is super heavy context based for how I'm existing in this universe. Because, like, me sitting here right now, I'm going to be a merchant. That is painfully obvious. But if I was born and raised in that universe, I might want to be a soldier, so I might stick it out. Because Zach, you can attest to this. One of my most obvious and most lovable traits, clearly, is my stubbornness.
You have lovable traits?
Is my stubbornness, my hard-headedness, and my persistence when it comes to going after something, right?
Those aren't actually good traits to have as a soldier, though, because if you're stubborn, then you're not really likely to follow orders.
Well, the idea is that if I'm stubborn and I'm hard-headed, I would be committed.
True. Like you wouldn't give up, yeah.
I wouldn't give up in boot camp, is the idea here. That's what I'm going to pitch, would be my soldier mentality in boot camp. Now, of course, I'm not a military veteran, so that could all be worthless. But I would.
You don't know what it's like, man.
But I would like to think, born in that universe, that would be my mentality, and I would be able to do it. Me sitting here right now, though, I would last like a minute. I would last like a day. After the first day, maybe the second day, I'd be gone.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have, let's say not the specific experience. Anyways, I've actually done a couple boot camp-esque things. I'm a police explorer, so I twice a year I go out to the desert in the eastern Washington for a week and get yelled at and do lots of push-ups and learn police things. I was actually there when this chapter dropped, so that was first thing I did when I got my phone back was look at the new chapter.
You're good at being inspired. You're good at the motivational thing. That's good.
Yeah, not if you ask my teachers. I'm not motivated at all. But
motivated in the bad sort of way, probably.
Actually, they taught us a chant at the last academy. They'd ask, "Advanced Academy, are you motivated?" And we'd have to yell back, "Motivated, downright motivated. You could check us out. And we'd have to lean back like we were doing the limbo when we gave that last. It was kind of weird.
That is hilarious. I'm glad.
It was pretty funny.
I'm so happy we have that on recording.
Fuck, what have I done?
Okay. Okay, that's a good response then. I'm good with that. Next question is, if you had to play 7 Minutes in Heaven with an AOT character, who would you choose?
What is 7 Minutes in Heaven?
This is why we need more people, because me talking to one other person, it's super awkward when I have to describe something like that.
Yeah, so it really is we're being asked to say who would you have sex with in the series.
Or spend 7 minutes in a closet with.
Making out.
Because some people just stand there and do nothing. If you watch movies, that's what they'll tell you. So what happens there? People do nothing.
Nothing happens in the closet, guys, I swear.
That's right. If I'm being totally honest here, I couldn't pick a character because I actually don't find any of the characters in Attack on Titan that attractive. Honestly.
Not even Annie.
Not even Annie. And the reason that is, in my mind...
It's the nose, isn't it?
No, it's because Attack on Titan has, since the beginning, strived so hard to be against fan service and against selling you how hot the characters are, that my mind has gone, yeah, okay, that's not what the show is about, so that's not...
None of them are hot.
That's not how we approach that. Scotty and Ryan, fuck those guys for leaving us this question to have the two-person podcast with.
Right?
Fuck those guys. We have. Fuck.
I probably have to say Astoria. I don't know. She's the only girl that's not like Annie with her nose or Yumiya that probably wouldn't, or she'd probably straight up kill me.
Okay, yeah, so that's that question.
Fuck you, Scotty.
Fuck you, Scotty. And Ryan, I know that you weren't involved with this, but man, fuck. This is so awkward.
What does Levi wanting to be with his new team, but not being able to do so, say about him? For example, him sitting behind the door across from Aaron Mikasa and Armin. And what are the effects his multiple losses have had on him in the same way? So,
as I described it earlier, I didn't see that as him wanting to be with the team. I just saw that as him listening in without interrupting their conversation because he wanted to hear about what they were talking about. I think that's a very interesting idea, is that he wanted to interrupt them and he wanted to talk with them about it but couldn't. What that says about him to me is that that's how he's adapted to that world. That's how he exists. That life has molded him in such a way that his idea of social interaction isn't what we would think is the more acceptable or the more appropriate way of doing it.
Levi actually kind of seems like a psychopath to me in that he doesn't really have emotions. We've seen the anger against Annie, but that's really about it. So this might just be his way of trying to experience, like, so this is what friendships is like.
This is something that the Ackermans have in common. I think Kenny's the only one who broke that by actually being able to have fun every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's totally...
Well, Mikasa's form of fun is just osmosis with Eren.
That's true.
She just absorbs it from him.
I always did give Levi a little bit more credit than Mikasa does, though, so I actually do like that point, that he was just unable to cross that threshold. I think that's just because of how his childhood was. Social interaction with people around him wasn't really a good idea.
It was limited to beating them up and being beaten up.
Yeah, it really wasn't a good idea. So being brought up that way, I think, sort of affected how he approaches the idea. Especially considering the second half of this question talks about how the people that he's lost, all the people that have died under his leadership, or
Isabel, Farlan,
just the people that
Petra,
he knows who've died. That has to have weighed on him. Even if he doesn't show it, that is something that supposedly would affect him, even though we don't know for certain that it did. As far as
it did. It absolutely did. We've seen how he... Really, what I was talking about with the emotion, the 2 times we've seen him show emotion were the pure and utter rage that he had when fighting the Titan that killed Isabel and Farlan, and when fighting Annie.
When Petra died, yeah.
Yeah.
That... I don't really count that for much, because anybody...
maybe not the Annie fight, but definitely the... in the OVA.
Anybody would go into a rager after that, though. Like, that's not something super special, you know? Like, for him, we need to see more... I say this for Mikasa, too. For these guys, we need to see more, like... We need to see more dialogue. We need to see their inner thoughts. We need to see them emote more. We need to see...
And yet, when we actually have a Mikasa-centric chapter, you do nothing but whine that it was Mikasa.
When did we have a Mikasa-centric chapter?
I don't know. I just know that the few chapters that Mikasa spoke up more, you kind of complained about it.
Well, I don't specifically know what you're referring to, but...
So that way you can't defend yourself.
What chapter did she speak a lot in? I don't know. I don't remember her talking much in one chapter ever. Man, I'm lucky to even see her in a chapter, let alone like her doing anything. I don't know.
See, you're just repressing the memories again, just like with the mind wipes. Sorry, whenever Mikasa comes up, you just forget.
Yeah, I can't remember a time she's ever actually done good emoting or done anything like character development wise. I'm struggling. I can't think of it. Like facial expressions. She's had different facial expressions before. She had that moment with Eren that one time where they almost kissed that one time, and then we never went back to that.
Thank you for wrapping the scarf around me.
And then we never went back to that ever again.
We probably will in these new chapters when one of them comes close to dying.
It's like such random spurts with her, where it's when she's introduced, when Eren supposedly dies, when Eren and Mikasa supposedly almost die again, and then never again, I guess? Like, I got nothing. I really do. So yeah, that's it. I spoke my piece on Levi, I think. It's a good point, and that specific moment in this chapter was good character development for him. Even if that bad moment from this chapter of him going back to that choices thing, even if that's going to come back, at least I could see that he's progressing a little bit. I'm happy with Levi's development. I don't hate him as much anymore. There's that.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about Erwin's development in this chapter, about that moment where he basically said to him he would give up all of humanity just to find out his selfish desires.
Yeah, that is kind of surprising. At the same time, though, it's hard for Erwin to say anything that we're going to acknowledge as not being something that Erwin would say, you know? Him saying that's the type of... We would expect Erwin to say something like that. Just because, this is so important, it's worth risking humanity, you know? We know him to take extreme risks, and we know that if a situation calls for rescuing humanity, it has to be an appropriate goal, and this is. So that's why he said that. And that's about the end of it, I think. It's just because that's something that Erwin would say.
As much as Eren and Armin's moment in this chapter made me go, "Aw," I'm very, very concerned about Eren's lack of motivation and hope, and he clearly is. I hope that Armin is, too. With that interview that came out recently, it's rather gut-wrenching to hear that Eren...
To hear that Armin and Eren's bond will not continue to be like that of just close childhood friends. So my question is, what do you think of Eren and Armin's friendship? Where is it now, and where is it heading? So this chapter highlighted that pretty well with the differences between where they were in the first couple of chapters to where they are now. And sort of how we talked about, we're hoping Armin's dark sort of path and turn comes back. We're hoping to see that plot development for him. I think that's where this relationship is going, where Eren's going to be making choices that he's going to say, well, this is what has to be done, this is the best choice for humanity, this is the such and such. Whereas Armin's going to take a path where he says, well, maybe we can have some preventive action taken in the future, maybe we can make some choices that might hurt some folks now, but in the long run it'll be better for humanity. They're gonna butt heads at some point, these two. And when they do, it's gonna be ugly. And seeing that sort of friendship turn into a rivalry, or seeing that friendship turn into sort of a disagreement or a agree to disagree kind of situation, we might be seeing a parallel being drawn in the long run where Eren and Armin become Erwin and Nile. And that would be
fighting over a girl?
Well, not like specifically fighting over a girl, but like these two are fighting over sort of one ideal and taking two different paths. That would be amazing to me, because Nile and Erwin at one point both were interested in the future of humanity, or for advancing to the point where they were able to make decisions that would affect humanity. And then Nile settled down where Erwin decided to pursue further. If we went that route with Armin and Eren, that would be amazing to me. I would love to see that parallel. And at that point, I'd like to see a little more Nile development, actually, so that we can get the parallel in full swing.
I suppose. I would like to see the relationship change, mainly because, to me, if that happens, that means that Armin is fleshing out and he is becoming more of a leader. And that's not really something we've seen much of lately. I mean, I brought this up earlier, but the last time we've really seen that is, let's make a false flag attack! And if we did see that, that would be, that would definitely be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it would be good to see that. It would be good to see Armin, as we talked about earlier, it would be good to see his character develop more as we progress. That would be nice. The next question is... The idea behind the next question is for us to pick a song that represents this chapter, sort of how we did with the last Mega podcast, where we did songs for both 70 and 71. The question is asking us to pick a song for this chapter. And I don't have a song for this chapter. I don't think this chapter was so, specifically interesting to the point that there's something about it that jumps out at you and says, this is what a song could relate to, you know? I don't know, this chapter kind of, to me, is like a slow sort of...
recap.
My song choice for this chapter would be like ambient noise, would be like background noise.
Just an ASMR video.
It could be like elevator music, you know? It could be something so, like instrumental, something so not with a meaning or a purpose that it would be perfect for this chapter, because this chapter was just sort of
Background noise.
Transitional, and it is a transition to the more important chapter next month. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go with background noise.
I've always had an issue picking songs. I don't know. I'll say the theme song to Friends because I've never actually seen Friends, but I would assume that the theme song has something to do with friendship. So yeah. If not, then fuck me for saying this, but the theme song of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.
I love that you said...
Because I know for sure that has to do with friendship.
I love that you said Friends. Because that's I can just imagine that song being played over someone flipping through this chapter, and that's kind of funny. That's hilarious.
Well, what is the theme song of Friends?
I'll link it to you after we're done here.
Alright.
But, shit, if you're gonna go that route, I'm gonna change my answer to the Sanford and Son theme. I'll link you that. I'll link you that one too, so you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Next question. The next question is...
Would it be a good idea for the Wall people to make a truce with Monkey Trouble and the Shifter Village, where they let Eren seal the hole in the outer gates for good, and then hand him over?
That's not gonna happen, because Eren would have to convince them that it's okay for him to go to them, and I don't even think he would agree to that. The Wall people for damn sure aren't going to agree to that, no matter what.
Why not?
Well, what is Monkey Trouble going to offer them? A truce?
Well, they're saying in exchange for letting Eren seal up Walmaria and regain all this land, we'll give you Eren.
Humanity's not really gaining anything from that deal.
They're gaining all of Walmaria.
Well, they're going right now to take it anyway, forcefully by themselves.
But they'll all die to Monkey Trouble. So this is saying
they don't know that.
I'd assume they can guess that Reiner and Bertholdt are probably going to be waiting for them.
If they feel confident that they can retake Walmaria from the Titans that are already there, safely within acceptable losses, and if they're okay with how they're approaching the situation, then they don't need to make this deal. Then they would not make this deal. This isn't a good deal to them at all. Well, a better deal for them would be, hey, Monkey Trouble will not only not stop you from resealing Walmaria, but he'll make the Titans never attack the walls again, and you can have Eren. You gotta sweeten. Well, I mean, you really gotta sweeten that.
The true purpose of them attacking the walls was to draw out and find the coordinate, then they wouldn't need to attack the walls again.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the idea should be here that the deal is not sweet enough for humanity. You really got to make me a better offer than that, because they're attempting to get it. They're trying to take Maria regardless of this. I don't think if you offered them this, they would take it. So I don't. So I don't see them. I don't see that they would take this deal.
I actually do think that this could be a possibility. It definitely seems like something that might happen to me. Hell, I'd actually thought about it before. It seems like something that could happen, but I don't know. I guess you are right. It doesn't seem all that sweet. So maybe not. Maybe. Who knows? We'll find out in the next issue of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, if that actually happened, if they actually offered them that deal, that would be funny. I don't see humanity ever taking that. Next question. Monkey Trouble said that he plans to save Annie. Once he's ready, how should he go about locating her and retrieving her? Probably through the underground. He probably knows some sort of secret way in there that he can use to get to her, and he probably knows the secret, shifter, ice crystal thawing technique, whatever it may be, that would release her. He knows things that the people of the humanity of the walls do not. So I would assume that he knows some secrets or some sort of
the key to unlocking it.
He's got some sort of plan in mind for how he would go about saving Annie. I don't think he has to do it by brute force. He probably could, but I would imagine he knows secret stuff that would allow him to get easy access to Annie and save her. He could probably do that.
If they don't
considering that he's Monkey Trouble, he's probably combat trained also. So he could actually he could actually be like Solid Snake style, go in there, take out whoever's guarding her, and like retrieve her.
Well, part of the question is how would they find her?
Bertholdt and Reiner at this point don't know where she's at also, correct? So them trying
They were separated from her during the whole Stoas incident, so all they know is that she's being tortured somewhere.
Yeah.
See, my idea is that they have time, and
that's also true.
Monkey Trouble's face, as far as we know, is still unknown to the military. No, it is unknown because he didn't know about the 3DMG, and therefore for him to have interacted with the military in his human form, he would have found out about the 3DMG. Anyways, his face is unknown to the military. So what he could do is he could infiltrate the military like Reiner and Bertholdt did, and then try and work his way up and weasel the location out eventually. That would take time, and it would be very risky because they're sure to be wary of people joining now, but...
That's true. So he's very much able to do the Big Boss Metal Gear Solid 3 style. Infiltrate, locate, and...
exfiltrate.
Retrieve. Yeah, that's very plausible. That's a solid plan to me, man. I like that. That seems like it would work. I believe it. He could join. He could become a high-ranking member of the military police, find out where she's at, and go save her one day. I believe that. I don't know. That might be a lot of work or a lot of time spent trying to go about that instead of actually just going in and forcing
just like
in.
Beating people up and torturing them for the info.
Yeah, that seems like it might.
Where is she?
That might be a little faster. Let's say this expedition out into Wall Maria happens, and they cross paths with Monkey Trouble, and Reiner and Bertholdt and gang actually capture someone. I don't know, Hanji or John or someone, and they actually just beat the information out of them. That could be it too.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they suggest a trade, Annie, for...
Oh, no. Why trade when you could just take? I mean, even if this happened, if this fight happened in, like, close to the walls, I still don't see Monkey Trouble and gang having that much trouble with them. You know? I'm very confident in their fighting abilities as a team against the people of the walls. Okay, next question. Last question, I should say. This is the last question. Should they transition away from using child soldiers, or is it necessary? I think we're going to find out sometime in the future why they use child soldiers to begin with. Why Annie, Reiner, and Bertholdt were chosen to even carry out this mission to begin with, considering...
Well, I think they're talking about the Wall's military using child soldiers.
Oh. Probably not. Not unless it gets a lot safer, relatively soon. You really, really need people for the defense of the walls, especially for the Survey Corps. So unless the humanity's situation drastically improves fairly quickly, I'm going to say they're going to be using child soldiers for quite a while.
Yeah, and, children are pretty damn agile. They're a lot more physically adept than older people. So with something as complex as a 3DMG that needs as much dexterity as possible, it's better to have younger. Not too young now, but
and the idea is also that if you can ingrain the ideas of this military and sort of what kind of military type of person you want these kids to be, if you get them as kids, you can sort of mold them to be representative of what you want your military members to be like for a long period of time if you do it to kids.
Yeah, they're less likely to have their own ideas. Kind of like why the Jedi only took children in.
Right. So there's that. The alternative, which I originally thought this question was about Annie, Reiner, and Bertholdt, and we don't know why they were using them to begin with, so it's hard to say whether they're going to stop or not. But I would say so, probably, because their situation also needs to drastically improve. So that one's kind of an unknown. But I would say for the wall people, that's definitely a no.
Gonna stay for the foreseeable future.
Right. And that is the last of the questions for chapter 72.
72.
And that also, I would think, unless there's anything else for us to talk about, would be the end of this podcast. Yeah?
Yep, that's it.
All right, that's it. So, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and put a cap on this podcast, and we're going to go ahead and say, see you guys next month.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.